A lot of iPad Pro reviews have rolled in, and a lot of people are saying that it's not ready to replace your computer yet. I'm going to side with Apple on this and ask, what is a computer? A computer is designed to help you, complete everyday tasks, pay bills, write your paper, socialize with friends these days. But what is a computer? What do we recognize as a computer? Well, when I was growing up, we had a 486 IBM tower that was about as big as most tables are today. The thing was huge, and it ran on Microsoft DOS, which for those of you too young to know, or it basically stood for Disk Operating System, and it was all command line driven. There was no graphical interface, no point and click. It was really very different than what we know of today. The system did get upgraded to run Windows 3.1 and later Windows 95, and that solidified the whole point and click thing for me personally, because I had not even touched a Macintosh except for my later years in elementary school. And back then I thought that Macs were just for schools. But the point is, the computer, this 486 tower, did the job of letting us play games, letting my parents do, their bills, bookkeeping, what have you. It was a computer. And then as time went on, this was a computer. For those of you who cannot see, we've gone from that table-sized 486 tower to something about, I'd say, roughly half to three-quarters the size. It's also a tower. This is a compact Presario 5000 series. It ran Windows Millennium. Same sort of deal, though. It allowed us to play music, go online, chat with friends. To be honest, I remember talking to my first girlfriend on that computer, along with this one later on when I got to college. This also is a computer. I mean, it's a completely different form. It's what we call, obviously, a notebook computer, but it's a computer. I mean, the form factor, the point I'm trying to make is the form factor may be different, but it is still a computer. It still allows you to run programs that you need to run to get things done. And this is a computer. For those of you who cannot see, I've got an image up right now of the iPhone 4. This was my first ever smartphone, and it's a computer. It is honestly a computer. You can run programs to do things like write papers, read books. Granted, the experience might be a little different, but the point is you can get this sort of thing done. Also with the iPad, a lot of people originally thought the iPad was going to be a blown-up iPod Touch, and now look where we are. I mean, we've got the new iPad Pro that can completely blow everything out of the water as far as its productivity, power is concerned, except for the most high-end gaming rigs, I would think. Keep in mind, I don't really keep up with that sort of thing. But I mean, think about your use case these days. Think about your own personal use case. For the most part, for me, I can tell you that I'm on my Pixel most of the time. I'm on my Pixel or I'm on my iPad Pro. I'm not really on here on my iMac much, except for when I'm making these videos or trying to organize files for school that I want to have copies of, that are not in the cloud. I'll store them on folders here on the hard drive. But beyond that, I mean, for everyday stuff, my Pixel is it. My iPad Pro is it. Even my iPhone 6 Plus, I'll still be using that from time to time. And again, those are honestly computers. I really do think they are genuinely computers. Even in the blind community. And for those of you who are regular subscribers of mine, what I'm about to say to you is old hat, but for those of you who do not know, sit back and I shall educate you some. Let's go back to our original definition of a computer as a device for accomplishing tasks using programs, whether it be a built-in or third-party. This device, for those of you who cannot see, I'm showing a picture of the Braille and Speak Classic. This device is basically a word processor in a 6-dot Braille keyboard. Over the years, they've added things like a calculator, a spell checker, a dictionary. You could even go online with this thing, or what we would consider these days to be online. Back then, it was just, I guess what today we would consider the, for them, it would be like their equivalent of forums, what we would think of as forums. They're called bulletin boards, where you can post things. But this device could be hooked up to the internet through a modem. You could hook up, or to bulletin boards, excuse me, through a modem. You could hook up a floppy disk drive, and you can run programs off of the disk drive. Later versions of the machine allowed you to update through the floppy disk. But you could run, again, you could run programs. With the later versions of this thing, you could type a term paper on this. You could honestly type a term paper on this. You could manage your schedule with this. You could, do a whole sorts of things with this. And again, it's a computer. It may not be what we think of as a computer, but it's a computer. To continue on with that particular theme, for those of you who cannot see, what I'm showing right now is a first-generation Braille note. For those of you who can see, this basically follows on from the Braille and Speak by adding a full-on web browser. And later iterations were now up to the Braille Note Touch, which is basically a touchscreen version that runs off-the-shelf Android. And again, it allows you to accomplish tasks. You could write your papers, chat with friends, check email, all in a device that is accessible to the party in question. Okay? It may not be what a sighted person may think of as a computer, but it is a computer. It ran Microsoft Windows CE, and again, nowadays it runs Android. A lot of these quote-unquote note-taker devices run off-the-shelf versions of either Android or Windows 10. And in speaking of Windows 10, this device, and for those of you who cannot see, I'm showing in L Braille 40, this device is literally a Windows 10 PC, and I'm not joking. It is a full-blown Windows 10 computer. Anything you can do on a $300 Windows 10 PC in Best Buy, you can do with this. It runs the JAWS screen reading software for accessibility purposes, both speech and Braille. But other than that, it is literally an off-the-shelf Windows 10 PC. You fire it up, and where are you? You brought directly to the login screen or directly to your desktop. And it's just a different form factor, but it is a different sort of computer. It is not, again, what a sighted person might think of as a computer, but this is genuinely a computer. Nowadays, we've got devices that are self-contained. They may not run off-the-shelf programs per se. In this case, we're going back to the original Braille and Speak in terms of capabilities, but this device, the Orbit Reader 20, can be hooked up to any of these off-the-shelf iPhones. Excuse me. Which, as we talked about before, the iPhone 4 is a computer. The iPhones 7, 8, 10s, 10s Max, and 10R are genuinely computers. I genuinely do think that if your needs are basic and you don't necessarily require a lot of high-end editing power, you could get by with using an iPhone as your main system. But a lot of people are thinking, well, it's not a computer, it's a phone. The way I look at it is, it's a computer with the phone that just so happens to have phone software built into it. Okay? And as we talked about before, the iPad Pro, just this thing's got absolutely insane power. I mean, Apple quotes 92% of PCs are beaten by this thing. And again, you can run programs on it. You can do anything you need to do on it. It may not be what we consider a computer, but if it fits your needs, it runs your tasks, it runs third-party applications, it allows you to accomplish things that you do every single day. I would say that's a computer. What's a computer to you? Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome, and have a nice day.